One who lacks emotional maturity is not high value. What I'm getting at is when a person says emotional maturity, I think it's an extreme turn on when a person can conduct themselves in anger with discipline, respect, and reserve. The word I said is reserve. I can control my emotions. I'm not gonna allow someone to talk me out of my space. I'm not gonna allow someone to trick me out of my element.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. Oh man, today I'm excited. We got a topic today that may offend a few, that may actually ruffle from some feathers. But again, we got to talk about the things in reality. So guess what we can do? We can fix the reality. I'm going to be honest. And the reason why we chose this topic today is because I genuinely believe some people's standards are way too damn high. They're too high. You guys, we got to be honest. We're going over these laundry lists. We're going over all of these things that's going on as far as expectations. The other day I was having a conversation and a woman said to me, I want a man that makes a lot of money. I want a man that's very secure, that's doing really well, tall, dark, and handsome. She had all of these standards. But I said to her, it's weird that you're looking for the economics before you look for the mentality. I said, what about the man? First thing you should be saying is a man that respects you, a man that's family oriented, a man that loves you. All of those things matter more than the finance. Because naturally, when I'm telling her this, I said, this is the reason why you choose or get a lot of bad men. Because the things you overvalue is not allowing you to see the reality. See, look, when you start saying that all I want is a woman with a big behind, all of these things, right? You're not looking at the things that matter. Is she a good mother? Can she learn how to compliment you, or can the man compliment you, ladies? See, this is the things that should be mattering. I think there are standards, quote unquote, that we should be actually speaking on more opposed to the little things. There's a lot of things in relationships that I don't think are that important, but I think the things that are more important are the things we tend to ignore. So I'm asking this question. Let's be honest. Ladies and gentlemen, on my live and on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, do you think that people have standards that are way too high? I'm going to say this. I think most people's standards are way too damn high. I think most people's standards are way too damn high. The reason why I say this is because you have people who don't bring absolutely nothing to the table, but yet and still believe that the man or the woman, and this is both, this is men and women we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just women who have crazy standards. You have men who have crazy standards also. So I'm asking everybody in my live, do you believe that people have some unrealistic expectations? Unrealistic. And I'm going to say this. I genuinely believe that when you go into the dating world, I don't say you shouldn't have standards. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is some things aren't realistic. I don't think a man is going to work hard, put himself in position to kiss your behind and pay for everything for you. I don't think that's going to happen in most cases. I think it can happen, but if you set that as a standard, you're going into the dating world and you're going to literally be surprised. Because I don't think that that's most people out there that can even financially do that. We look at standards and how much the average person makes. We don't talk about those things. The people don't have the money that you would like to believe that they have. Economics is supposed to be funneled from two jobs to equal one. So your mate coming together as one, ultimately making life make sense, right? So When you look at things like that, that is more feasible. See, when you set your standards, a lot of times people always take the most rarity situations and they normalize these situations to accommodate what they want. But sometimes the person you may want may not honestly want you. But if you tell someone that, they're gonna get mad. Why would the most perfect mate want the most imperfect person? Let me say that again. Why would the most perfect mate want the most imperfect person to accommodate them? See, you can ask yourself, are you perfect? In most cases, you're gonna say no, but yet and still you believe that the mate you're supposed to have is supposed to be perfect. But you're not perfect yourself, right? You're not perfect yourself. And that's what we do. And I'm like, to me, it don't make sense. And the reason why it don't make sense is because you know you're flawed. Why would you not expect to meet someone that's also flawed? Both parties are flawed. Both parties have issues. Both parties aren't perfect. Both parties have problems. But if you say it's the man, that means you are eliminating the fact that you have work to do. And if you say it's the woman, that means you are eliminating the fact that you have work to do. I think both of us have work to do, men and women. But I will say this on record, a ton of people genuinely believe that their standards will be met. It's weird to me when I meet older people and their standards are still unrealistic, right? Including unrealistic expectations include things like wanting your partner to change their values, be a source of income, a source of your happiness, and go on and so forth, right? And that's the issue. Why would I be the perfect man but want to attach myself to the most imperfect woman? Where does that even make sense? A perfect man will want a woman that perfectly accommodates him. A perfect woman will want a perfect man that accommodates her. But the sad part is there is no perfect beings. Let's say your man snores, but he accepts the fact that you're always late. See, when you really look at this narrative, right, we talking logic, guys, right? We're talking logic. Anytime you accept something from someone, just be mindful that someone is accepting something from you. If I'm a type of guy that's always on time and my mate is always late, that could be frustrating to me, but yet and still, I accept it because I care about my mate. But yet and still, the woman or the man won't see the fact that you're accepting their flaws in the process they supposed to be also accepting your flaws. But we set the expectations way too damn high. The expectations are way too damn high. Too many people have unrealistic expectations. You're too hairy, right? You should put on some makeup. You dress too provocative, right? You have too many piercings, right? Cover up your tattoos, or you should work out, or you should eat less or more. These are the problems. You go into a relationship looking to change someone more than you go into a relationship looking to accommodate someone or compliment someone. You should go into a relationship to either A, compliment someone, or make sure that you can accommodate someone. Because accommodations is when I see things aren't done, I'll do it myself. When a person understands that a healthy relationship and what it looks like a person that's looking to add value to a situation. When you attach yourself to someone, right, you should automatically look in what value do I add to this situation, not what I can come in here and get from the situation. You're already going into the relationship looking for what you can get from the situation rather than what value can you add to the situation. So this is the problem. You're going into a relationship looking for what you can get from the relationship and then be mad at the fact that you're killing the resources and then there's nothing built over years. Some of the relationships that you see, whether men or women, you'll see a woman who can literally build something, but the man is pulling too much resources from what could be built because of the fact that maybe he lives a extravagant lifestyle. There are women who complain about the fact that they don't have a home, but maybe she's too damn expensive. There are people who are too expensive to be with, whether men or women. There are some men who have standards of expectations that are unrealistic. Some men are looking for mothers, and some women are looking for daddies. Some women are looking for daddies, and some men are looking for mothers. It's expectations, right? How do I contribute? That's the healthiest relationship that anyone could involve himself in. Healthy relationships involve honesty, trust, respect, and open communication between partners that take effort and compromise from both parties. That sounds like a healthy situation. But if you say this, you become the problem. Sometimes when a person say he lacks communication skills, I say maybe it's the approach that you're approaching them with. Humans naturally go on a defense when you approach them with judging. You don't go with concern, you come at them with judgment. And the sad part about it is most people tell people things about themselves in a heated debate, in a conversation that there's already heated exchange of words. Now you want to tell me about myself. No one will be receptive of information when you're trying to tell someone when you're angry. No one. Not a man, not a woman. No one will be receptive. Sometimes we say that the relationship sucks. I say, no, it's your expectations of what a relationship is. There's a lady that said to me the other day, I don't like the fact that he's not motivated. I said, let me ask you a question. Do he have a job? She said, yes. I said, do he pay his own bills? She said, yes. I said, you want him to be this superhero or this knight in shining armor, but that's not what he is. He may be comfortable in his situation. In all fairness to him, he's a good man. Because he don't want the moon in the galaxy. That's what you want. So if that's what you want to chase, I think you should chase your dreams. That's not his dreams. That is not her dreams. Some people's dreams are just getting stable enough just to remain stable. Some people's dreams are just being stable enough just to remain stable. That's their dream. That's always been a dream, to make sure they can get a house, stay comfortable, and live comfortable, modestly, and travel occasionally, and live. That's their dream. So basically, you're coming into this person's life, right, and they say, hey, you're wrong for wanting your dream. That's the standards that we have in relationships. You go into it looking for what you can change from someone or change someone rather than how you can accept them. You walk full-fledged into a situation of a person who was content with who they were, but now you want them to compromise who they are because it accommodates you. When you really look at that statement, how damn selfish are you? Damn. Why do I say you're selfish? You met the person the way they are, now you're complaining about the person for being who they are. If you met me and I wasn't attending church on a regular, don't force God down my throat. No, Diddy. Don't force it. Because what happens is you're going to make me resent it. You become more like a motherly figure, right? You become like a fatherly figure. I'm not going to meet a woman, right, and say, hey, you need to get a better job. If anything, I'm going to encourage her to go back to school. But if she chooses to stay comfortable in her situation, as long as she can cover her way, that's all that matters. I think the healthiest thing is when a person could accommodate their way. If I can compliment my way, right? Meaning I pay my bills and everything that I want, then it's okay. It's okay. That's not how humans do. We go in there and we point the finger at each other like, you ain't this and you ain't that and you should have this and you should be doing this and I want to travel 45 times a year and I should be driving a Range Rover and a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. Sister, you didn't do anything that makes you put yourself in position that's going to allow you to drive those luxury vehicles. The worst thing you can do is to think that you can open your legs to someone that can buy you that. That is the worst thing you can do, because in most cases, that man will not respect you. He will see you as he has control over you. Let me say that that again. If a woman believes that by opening her legs, that should accommodate the lifestyle that she wants, she already failed as an individual. All she's doing is putting herself in a position to be controlled. A man that's paying for all of the expectations that you have will never respect you as a partner. Never respect you as a partner. And the reason being is because he's like, I'm doing this for you. You wouldn't have this for me. Control comes with that. So sometimes when you ask for things that you say you want, you got to know what comes with it. It comes with ego. It comes with control. It comes with extreme levels of submission. And sometimes you're going to realize that you have no power there at all. Zero power. Because he controls the situation. He is the power. She's the power. If you choose to date a woman that's paying for everything for you. And this is what we don't want to talk about. You got to compliment the lifestyle that you want. You got to make sure that you add in value. I can't cry about my team not being a championship team when I'm not bringing nothing to the table for the championship team to win. Let me say this again. I cannot cry about my team not being a championship team when I'm not bringing nothing to the table that's allowing us to win. Expectations, if they're not met, right, can ruin even the strongest bonds. Let me say that again. Expectations, when they're not met, they can ruin the best bonds that you could ever find, right? When we set our sights too high, right, our partners can feel overwhelmed and pressured. When we set our standards too high, our partners can feel overwhelmed, right, and pressured. No one wants to feel overwhelmed. No one wants to feel pressured. And that's what we do. Alternatively, right, when you set our sights too low, we may never be satisfied, right, with what we get. So the alternative to that is when you set your standards too low, you may never be satisfied with what you have. So sometimes when people say that they want a certain type of mate, I understand. But when it comes to economics, I genuinely believe as long as you have someone who can pay their way, you've done well in the dating market. If you can meet a man or a woman who can pay their way, you've done very well in the dating world. Very well. Why do I say that? It's because God forbid something happens to you, there is someone who can hold the ship up until you get back to normal. A safety net. We got to acknowledge that relationships and marriage is also a business. We have to accept that. It's a business because anything that's a business is things that you invest in, right? So if I'm investing in my relationship, and if a person tell me if they invested in a relationship, they do not expect something called the ROI. ROI means a return on your investment. If you're investing in something and you're not expecting nothing in return, then there's no ROI. And you say that you do not have expectations of an ROI, which is a return on your investment, then that means it's not a business. But if you have expectations of a ROI on a relationship, that means it's a business. I mean, it's a business, right? Think about that statement, right? Think about that statement. If there's no return on the investment, then it's not a business. But if there's expectations of a ROI, which is a return on investment, that means it's a business. It's just what it is. Why do you want your mate to become the best version of self? Because in most cases, the one thing I don't like is a lot of people are selfish. And I'm going to tell you why. Some women will meet a guy who works a job, modest job, he pays his bills, he's responsible, he does what he has to do. A lot of times, women will complain about him not making the big money because in most cases, the women benefit from the fact that he makes so much more money. So it's not that you want him to challenge himself to be the best version of self. You want him to go get all his money so you can live off of him. And that's very unhealthy and unsafe. That's very selfish, right? Respect one another. Terms of boundaries of a human being. Like, think about it. You have to respect one another. Some people have no respect because the standards aren't meeting what they want. Some people's standards are way too damn high. Their standards are way too damn high, right? Always treat them the way you would like to be treated. That's a safe relationship. Treat me the way you want to be treated. I'm going to tell you something. I always say this statement. I want y'all to hear this very well. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with me. Chris, get this really good. If a man gets mad because a woman is yelling at him and he puts his hands on a woman, is he wrong? And I know everyone is going to say, yes, he's wrong, right? So I'm asking this next question. If a man decides, you know what? I'm not going to pay bills and neglect your family financially, is he wrong? Everyone's going to say yes. Watch what I'm saying. When a man puts his hands on a woman, that is something called physical abuse. When a man is not helping his family out financially, that's called financial abuse. But here's my one question I always ask. How come when a woman get mad, she can verbally abuse you and there's nothing wrong with that? Abuse is abuse. But how come we have normalized women insulting men because of anger, but we haven't normalized the man punched you in your mouth because of anger? Y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me. We'll justify anger when it comes to verbal abuse, but we can't justify anger when it comes to physical abuse. You can look anywhere, talk to any professional. Abuse is abuse. Period. Right? Because a real woman doesn't get physical. No, what I'm getting at is if a man neglects his family financially, that's considered financial abuse. And they would tell him he's a bum, he's a loser, he's a coward, he's a chump, he's a horrible person. Right? So if a man gets mad and hits a woman, they will say he's horrible because it's physical abuse. So if a man don't hang out with his woman, don't spend time with her, neglects her, they'll say that he's emotionally abusing her, right? Right? And give an excuse to cheat. But the one abuse I genuinely feel like is always neglected is verbal abuse. This is what I can't get jiggy with. So when you sit down and you have some relationships and you're like, why certain women can't find certain men? I'm like, because you don't realize that you're an abuser. In anger, you justify your abuse. In the reality, on any professional setting, abuse is abuse. But again, I was mad, so I called your mother these names. This is what we've normalized. But you got all these high standards, but you got to work on being a high standard man. You got all these standards, but you got to work on being a high standard woman. Your standards are low because the way you conduct and carry yourself is low. In anger, that is the ultimate representation of you. Because there's something called emotional maturity. One who lacks emotional maturity is not high value. One who lacks emotional maturity is not high value. What I'm getting at is when a person says emotional maturity, I think it's an extreme turn on when a person can conduct themselves in anger with discipline, respect, and reserve. The word I said is reserve. I can control my emotions. I'm not going to allow someone to talk me out of my space. I'm not going to allow someone to trick me out of my element. Because of anger? Is that a justification? Or is it an excuse that we use because we want to accommodate or compliment who we are? So when I say things like standards, having standards is cool, but you got to realize in life, having standards should ultimately apply to self. Having standards should apply to self. You cannot expect certain things in life when you're not that certain person that's accommodating or complimenting that certain thing that you expect. It takes a certain behavior to be with a certain type of person. Your partner should respect you as a person with your opinions, right? Your feelings and your choices. Your mate should respect your feelings, your choices, and your decisions. You're not talking to a child, and a good man and a good woman is not someone who follows everything you do, because that might not make them feel comfortable. So sometimes the rebellion is because I'm not comfortable. But when you realize that we're all raised and come from different homes, what may be normal in my house may be not normal in your house. What may be acceptable in my house may not be acceptable in your house. Some people walk into houses and walk with shoes. Some people walk in the house, they take their shoes off at the door. And both houses may be clean. But the standard is you take your shoes off at the door. That's my standards. But your standards can be completely different. But we have to respect and also understand we have to complement each other. Why do you think we take our shoes off at the door? Because you're not walking around the house with outside energy. Why do you take off your shoes? Because you don't know what you stepped in and now you're tracking it around the house. That's why. And most people walk around their house barefoot. So therefore, you're not walking on top of filth. But now the person should be able to say, you know what? That makes sense. That makes sense. But if a person don't want to make sense, then what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Logic is logic. 1 + 1 will always equal 2 unless someone is in a different mathematical equation. They're going to try to change the mathematical equation to accommodate their ways, right? They should also respect your privacy, your space, and your time. Let me say that again. A good mate should respect your privacy, your space, in your time. Ladies and gentlemen, if I have to go through someone's phone, that means there's a big red flag that I shouldn't even be there. I'm not gonna come out of character to check someone's phone because of the fact that I feel like maybe this person is doing something. Because if there's smoke, there is always a fire. You don't have to check something until you find it. If you think something is there, there's a reason why. So why do I have to check a phone? Why do I gotta search? What's done in the dark will always show in the light. Just be patient enough. That person's gonna get comfortable and slip up. They're gonna slip up. But if you know this already, why are you even entertaining someone like that? Why are you entertaining someone like that? Because you don't want to be alone. You should not belittle, the person should not belittle you, criticize you, control you, or manipulate you. The person should not belittle you, control you, right? Manipulate you, right? They shouldn't do or even criticize you. Because when doing any of these things, right, all you're doing is building something called insecurity. There are people in relationships right now that they're very insecure in because of the way the person criticized them, the way the person controlled them, the way the person belittled them, and the way the person manipulate them. So therefore, this person will always have issues because they're in a relationship that they feel like they're being controlled by. I would never want to be in a relationship that I'm being criticized, belittled, controlled, and definitely manipulated because it does something to my comfortableness. It makes me uncomfortable. But again, if you say these statements, you'll become the problem. But the problem is the person that's not identifying reality. That's the problem. Sometimes you only crazy because the person you're talking to is the crazy one. The person that you may be talking to is the crazy one. So they control you, they manipulate you, they belittle you, and they criticize you because they're trying to control you. When a person knows someone look good, right, and the person is insecure, right, what they'll do is try to make you feel like you don't look as good as you do. Because by belittling you or manipulating the fact that you are very attractive, you know that this person will get attention from other people. But by trying to lower this person's confidence, it makes you feel empowered. There are a lot of people that feel like this. I'm going to tell him or her, you're not that good. What do you think? You look good? Yeah, she look good. That's why you stayed with her. And you know she look good. That's why you're going to say what you say. Some of the things you have to be mindful of, right, is people project how they feel about themselves onto others. Never entertain someone who is insecure with themselves. Because your whole relationship is going to be about you trying to prove to them that you love them, that they're valuable, that you respect them, that you appreciate them. Everything is about proving to them that you all in with them because they're insecure. But when a person is all in with themselves, they don't need you to make them secure. Your security only complements their security already. So if I'm a secure person, all a person can do is make me feel more secure. But I'm already secure before I get into a situation. And this is the dilemma, right? You should never let yourself go, right? At no point in a relationship, you should never let yourself go. If you walk in a relationship and you say I'm big me, you should still be big me when a person and you've been in a relationship for years. You should still walk with your head up. You should still walk with your confidence. You should still walk like you that person. Because the relationship don't stop you from being that person. Sometimes maybe that person may lose sight on who you are, but it's on you to remind them every day, I'm still him. I'm still her. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted for 1 second. I'm still that person. But again, sometimes we lower our standards way too much. Or our standards are overly inflated. You have to be mindful of your standards, right? And I'm being honest with you. As you age, you have to be more accommodating because the reality is that standard that you may have in your 20s, you cannot have that same standard in your 40s because the chances of you finding that same thing in your 20s as your 40s is slimmer to none. Because what happens is in your 20s, right, you have something called the ocean of potential, right? But in your 30s, you got a lake of potential. But in your 40s, you got a stream of potential. And in your 50s, you got a puddle of potential. So it changes as you get older, but if a person can't understand that reality and identify that truth, then they're living in a delusion. In most cases, ladies, let's be honest, more men are coming on to you when you're younger. It's not saying that a woman loses value because she's older. It's saying that your potential of finding a mate to accommodate all your laundry list of what you expect in a relationship is more feasible when you're younger. So sometimes when you pursue your career, ladies, and you're all about your career, you have to be mindful that you may not find that super mate because on paper, that's what you like to say, on paper, it looks good. Yes, it looks good if a doctor meets another doctor and they build an empire together, but chances are that doctor's in their profession, you're a doctor in your profession, more than likely, y'all probably cheating on each other because y'all don't have time for each other. Yes, it can happen, but that is not the normal standard. That is not the normal standard. Well, now we're going to look, on paper, it looks good. Of course it looks good. But the reality is that may not be feasible to make sense for that relationship you want to be in. If you know that you're an attention person and you need a lot of attention, you shouldn't be with someone that's overly, extremely career-oriented because they're not going to have time to give you attention. And what's going to happen is you're going to start feeling neglected, ultimately looking for outside for the neglect that you're feeling at home. And then you're going to say, he don't have time for me. But you have to choose. If you want someone who's an extreme provider, chances are the provider does not have the time that someone who's not a great provider has. Let me say that again. If you know for a fact you need attention, and you know that you're an attention person, if you date someone who's more involved or more into their finances or into their career, you have to be mindful that that person will not have the time to run behind you because they'll be so into their career. I'm gonna give you 10 reasonable expectations, right? 10 reasonable expectations of a relationship. Number 1, mutually trust each other. You should mutually trust each other. That's number 1. Number 2, equally committed to create a passionate relationship or an environment for each other. Number 2. Number 3, shared affection and appreciation. It should be equal. I should feel appreciated. She should feel appreciated. He should feel appreciated. She should feel appreciated, right? Number 4, empathy towards experiences and emotions. You should have an understanding of where this person has been and what they've gone through so you can have empathy for them. Their feelings, whether man, whether woman, right? Number 5, friendship and admiration, right? In a relationship. friendship in a relationship, right? And admiration, right? Number 6, a satisfying sexual connection. A satisfying sexual connection, right? Intimately, both of y'all should be met. You shouldn't get yours off and she don't get hers off. She shouldn't get hers off and you're not getting yours off. I should accommodate each other with that, right? Right? Number 7, mutually understanding and compromising. Mutually understanding and compromising. It should be across the board. Two-way street. Traffic go two ways. If I'm going to do something for you, something should be coming back to me. If you're doing something for me, something should be coming back to you. Mutually. Shouldn't be a one-way street, right? Number 8, respect each other's differences. You should always respect each other's differences. I'm gonna tell you something. Differences can open up a different part of your mind that you never even understood or seen if you're willing to open your mind and learn something new. It's cool to see something different, right? Number 9, quality time. Quality time, guys. Everyone knows you need time. A relationship can only survive when you're willing to give quality time. Number 10, shared kindness and generosity. Shared kindness and generosity. Notice nothing on this chart I said money, 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 money. Career, 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 career. Trips, 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 trips. Vacation, 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 vacation. Come on. This is why most relationships are failing. Because the standards are way too damn high. The standards are way too damn high. That's why you're failing. Because you go into a situation always looking for what you can get from it. You're not looking for what you can bring to it. Let's look at this. Let's have a scenario. Ladies, I meet a woman today, right? And she already got, her things going. I'm going to look at what I could do to add value to her. If a woman, right, chooses to meet this high entrepreneur, and he's very, 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 very active, I genuinely believe that her resources might not be the necessity, but her being his secretary, her being his assistant, her being there for him emotionally, supporting him mentally, not being his stress, but being his release. I think she's a very valuable asset to that man. And if the woman is very adamant about her entrepreneur, and she has a lot going on, a lot of pressure to achieve. Everyone wants to say that they're a business owner until they realize what it takes to really run a business. There's a lot of stress that comes with running businesses. But if a woman is this entrepreneur pursuing her greatest self, and I think as a man, you should be more like, look, I'm willing to be your assistant. I'm willing to be the person that complements what you're chasing. But a person gonna say, I ain't doing that. They're gonna say that because of the fact that you don't realize that it's not unmanly to be supportive of your woman. It's not unmanly to be your woman's assistant. It's not unmanly. See, it's unmanly when you realize that you're not bringing any value to the house because of your ego, your feelings, and your pride. My pride is this. I'm never going to go into a situation where I can't add value. Sometimes, men, y'all have to accept there are women who are better providers than you are, who are better leaders than you are. Some women are the alphas in the situation. And it's nothing wrong with it because an alpha woman needs an alpha man. That don't work all the time. That usually fail. And I'm going to tell you why. When you say the term alpha, right? Bring up the definition of alpha, Dre. I'm going to give you 2 definitions. There are 2 definitions of alpha and beta, right? When you hear the word alpha in the world, we're just talking about the world. We're not talking about in a relationship, right? 2 completely different things. I hear this alpha beta debate on a regular to the point where it's annoying. All you hear is alpha this, beta that, alpha, 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 alpha. It's crazy. It's crazy. The truest definition of alpha, right? The true definition of alpha. Alpha refers to a dominant person are their behavior, especially with respect to socially aggressive, hypermasculine men. See, that's the definition by term, right? But the true definition of alpha in a relationship means a leader. It means a good leader. The alpha is the leader of the family who's good at leading. The one who's not going to run when things are not going good. The one that's going to stand there, pull a beta when things are not going the way you want. That's a good alpha. In a relationship, the standards of by definition is not the same definition of a relationship. And alpha means just a good leader. A good leader. That's all alpha means, right? So when we have this debate over alpha, I'm like, yo, you keep reading the definition by book definition. We talk about relationship. Relationship means a good leader. We just identified what alpha is, guys. Alpha means a good leader. A good leader, right? But when you set these standards to a relationship, it changes the narrative. A woman can be an alpha. A man can be an alpha. Someone has to be a leader. A beta is slang to insult for or describing a man who is seen as passive, subservient, weak, right? That's the definition. In a relationship, I genuinely believe an alpha woman shouldn't be with an alpha male. They usually don't work because an alpha has to be a leader. But if a woman or a man don't realize that they may not be good at leading, you're gonna keep having problems. When a person in a relationship poses to be something they're not, the relationship will fail, right? Someone just wrote, we didn't work. And it's not gonna work because someone has to be the leader. Let's ask this question, right? Ladies, if you're laying in a bed, and we're gonna say, people say this all the time, right? There are no standards, right? Kenzie, with men and women. There are no standards. We're equally across the board. I'm asking this question, ladies. If I walk into your house right now, truth be told, as I'm asking this question, if I walk into your house right now and your house is dirty, right? Who do you think I'm looking at? Am I looking at the man or I'm looking at the woman of the house? I'm gonna let y'all answer that. If I walk into your house and your house is dirty, who I'm looking at? I'm looking at the man of the house or I'm looking at the woman of the house? I see somebody say woman. Somebody said both. The woman of the house. See, the woman of the house, in reality, and I'm gonna say this to you, Queen, in reality, most people, when they walk in your house and there's a man and a woman there, they're gonna look at the woman. But again, society got this whole feminist and this masculine movement going on. It's ridiculous. It's foolish and it's dumb. It's dumb. Because no matter what, can a woman do what a man can do in cases? Yes. Can a man do what a woman can do in cases? Yes. But there are things women can do that men can't do? Yes. Are there things that men can do that women can't do? Yes. So we're going to call it what it is. But when I walk in your home and your house is dirty, whoever's in denial, if you didn't know this, we're looking at you, dirty sister. We're going to look at you as a dirty person. So if you don't realize the truth, then you're in denial with self. When a person walks in your house and your house is dirty, we're looking at the woman. But again, I beg to differ. It's not true. You in your own world. Go ask everyone around you the same question. They're going to say women. Now, when I walk in the house and your lights is off, right? And your family is in the dark, am I looking at the woman or I'm looking at the man? I'm asking y'all who I'm looking at. The woman or the man when you walk into a house and the lights are off? Who y'all looking at? We're looking at the man. If a woman is in the dark and has a man present, they're going to flame him as a man, right? But again, we don't tell the truth about nothing. Everything is insecurities and lies and I'm not, get out your feelings. In order to fix the problem, we have to identify the problem. The problem in society today is everyone is emotionally wrecked. They're wrecked. They're wrecked. They can't even hear truth without getting their feelings. Some people's standards are so unrealistic. I've accepted this years ago, right? As a man, if certain requirements aren't being met, I know that people are going to look down on me. Because as a man, I should be putting my family in a better position. We're going to call it what it is. And the person's going to say, but what if I work and he works? Okay, so let me ask you this question. Watch this. Imagine you and your man work, ladies. Y'all both work, right? You're laying in the bed. You just did a 14-hour shift. He just did a 14-hour shift, right? Y'all both laying in the bed. And you hear a noise. Who do you think is going to be expected to go check the noise? The man or the woman? The man or the woman? I'm asking a serious question. So you worked 14 hours, ladies? The man worked 14 hours. He's laying in the bed with you. You're both tired. Who do you think they're going to go expect to go check the noise? The man. Are there certain scenarios where there are women tougher than their man? Yeah. But in most cases, that's not the case. There are some women that are tougher than their man. But we're not going to make that the standard. It's not the standard. There's always an exception to a rule. But a rule is a rule when it's proven beyond the abnormal. When more say yay than nay, then it's a rule, right? In most cases, a man will be expected to go check the damn noise, right? But having to say further in this conversation, if you see right now children outside looking like bums, right? Who you looking at? You go look at the mom. If you see a woman who's married and her tires are bald, look like they're about to go flat any day, who are you gonna look at? The man. So when we don't have these logic, right? We don't have this logic, then we go into this foolish society crap, not realizing that reality is reality and delusion is delusion. But standards have to be met based on reality. Some people have their standards way too goddamn high. Damn. Way too high. It's not realistic. I'm willing to accept my truth as a man, so therefore I know my responsibilities as a man. I know my responsibility as a man, right? If I come to the house, watch this, and I know somebody gonna be like, I do it too. But if I come to the house, Kenzie, and you're my friend, and you see me sitting on the couch and my girl dragging out big old garbage cans, what you gonna look at me as? A fool. So being honest, if I come to a man's house and he's in the house and this woman dragging out big old garbage cans out to the front of the house, I'm not gonna look at him no type of way? So we say there's no standards of relationships. There are standards. There are expectations. There are requirements. But we're not gonna change the narrative because society say, anything you can do, I can do better. That's what society say, right? It's a competition. It's not a relationship anymore. It's a competition. That's why most relationships fail, because it's about competition. A man and a woman shouldn't be in competition to each other. They should be trying to complement each other. They should be figuring out what value they add to each other, ultimately making a better relationship because they add value to a situation. A man is needed to do certain things. A woman is needed to do certain things. A man and a woman will always do better when they understand their roles. A man and a woman will always have a better relationship when they understand their roles. The best team is when you have multitude of people who understand their roles. A family should understand their roles. But the problem is when someone want a job that they're not made for, they ultimately fail because you're not made to do a certain job. It's accepting reality. We have to complement each other. A man should compliment his woman should compliment his man. A woman shouldn't get mad at the fact that he's tired, so guess what? He didn't wash dishes, he's probably tired. That man worked 45 hours this week, 60 hours this week. Understand, it is what it is. Some people don't do things with intent. Some people are really tired. But again, if you have no empathy for people, you're gonna always have a problem. Understanding other people's situations is how you create empathy. When you can look beyond yourself and see why. Because if my girl don't have time to wash clothes, I'll wash clothes. And I'm not gonna do it with a ledger like, yo, I washed your clothes this week. You should have never did it. Because in most cases, when you're complaining about doing something, it's something you genuinely don't wanna do. And that's the reality. But again, when we have these conversations, a lot of people don't realize reality. Because why do I say this? Right? It's because when you have a certain level of conversation, your mind has to be able to take in and absorb reality and truth. Every relationship is different based on what works for you. But to set a standard, we talking about generic standards. My house I should be the breadwinner and the provider for my house, or working towards being as a man. That should be a standard. A woman knows that the children are better with her in most cases because women are what? Better nurturers than men. So the nurturer has to be mentally sound to help the children be better. I'm not saying you can't provide. The reason why men and women need each other financially is because society has gotten so expensive. It's not the fact that a man can't do, but in reality, taking care of you, a family, a grown woman, is not the norm anymore. And if most cases, if a man can do that, guess what's gonna happen? The situation is going to suffer financially because something is being neglected. And that's the truth. Do what you was doing before, right? Dre. Do what you was doing before. It was good, right? But again, our logic is changing based on society standards. They're creating a lot of dysfunctional, toxic families because of the fact that we're creating poor scenarios. And I'm gonna say that again. Most families are failing because of the standards that society is creating, which is creating a lot of toxic families. If you wanna know how to be a great family, go look at your grandmother. How come our grandparents were able to have sustainable relationships with less? Because they went into relationships looking at what they can do for each other opposed to what that person can do for them. That's why their relationships were more successful. But nowadays, it's about what she can do for me, what he can do for me. Girl, he ain't spending enough. He don't make enough money. How about y'all work together and build up and make more money together? I don't hear people talking like that. All I hear is people talking about what you should be doing for me and what I should be doing for you. And none of that is what can he do to me. There's something we talk about, it's called the table. The table. What do you bring to the table? Let's look at a table, right? This is your table. Look at this. All you have is a top layer of a table. If I take a leg, right? So you see the table? I take a table and all I have is one leg. And I put the leg in the middle of the table. Now the table is like this, right? What happens if I put weight on the left or the right side? This is your table, right? This is your table like this. And I put the legs, only got one set of legs. I put the legs in the middle of the table. What happens if you put weight on the left or the right side of the table? It tips over. So what I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen, is if you have a table and the man is the only one providing or holding up the situation, if something is too heavy on his left or something is too heavy on his right, the table will tip over. Well, the whole point of a table is balance. If I have a table, Chris, and I put a leg on the left side, I put a leg on the right side, what happens? The table is balanced. So when you understand that every situation needs balance, but we don't talk about balance because of the fact that we're so caught up in society. He's not flying you out, but guess what he's providing? He's not taking you out to every night to eat, but he's providing. When you look at the fact that going to a restaurant, right? That should be a luxury once in a while. Society and social media has created this narrative that's making so many people broke because y'all not out to eat and partying and living your best fake life every single night. That's why most people are broke, because they're doing it for the what? The gram. Doing it for social media, but not doing it for reality. The best meal I've ever had is a home-cooked meal. My mama cooked better than any restaurant that I ever had in my life. I prefer my mother food over anybody's food. Any day. Any damn day. Because while you're trained to eat home-cooked meals, outside food is only for the moment. It's convenience. But in reality, we should be cooking more. We should be really learning, like, look, I'm not gonna judge a relationship to be good based on the fact that what? You do well for me on a holiday? Let's take a relationship. How many days in a year? How many days is in a year? 365 days. Let's just say hypothetically, there's 15 holidays in favor of women. 15 holidays, right? So 365 minus 15 is what? 350. So 350 days of me being a provider doesn't matter if I don't do well for you on a holiday. That's a goddamn shame. Damn. And then we wonder why our relationships are failing. So you're gonna tell me every day this person keep a roof over your head, they provide for you, they hold it down, they loyal to you, they there for you. That's all irrelevant if you don't give me a great Christmas gift. You look out for me, you good to our children, you consistent, you're loyal, you honest, but that don't matter if you don't buy me a Valentine's Day gift. This is getting ridiculous. And then you wonder why relationships are failing. It's the superficial mentality. The standards are way too damn high. Standards are way too damn high, right? Right? You got to make sure that you keep a balance. Everything is about balance, stabilizing everything. We're not stabilizing anything anymore. Everyone is out for self. And you know what people that are out for self, what happens? They will always find themselves by themselves because they only think about themselves. So when you have this mentality, you shouldn't be in a situation. You should be by yourself. Because in order to create a healthy situation, you got to manage your standards. You got to manage them, right? You got to manage your standards. Why do I say you should manage your standards? Because if you're going into a situation, everything is about what she or he can do for me. You shouldn't be in no situation. You shouldn't be thinking about marriage. You shouldn't be thinking about partnership. Partnership, what is a partnership? What is two people working together? That's what you should be looking at in a healthy manner, realistic. I think everyone, outside of getting therapy and actually sitting with a counselor, I think everyone should go to like the oldest couple they know and ask them to mentor them. I'll bet you when you meet this couple who's been together 30, 20, 40 years, they're gonna tell you they've been through so much together, right? Good, bad, and ugly. But the best thing about their relationship is they were able to get through it together. When they tell you these things, you're gonna stop the Cinderella stories. You're gonna stop with the movies. A relationship is a battle. And only the strongest relationships are what wins the battle. The ones who are willing to fight for love and fight to keep it together are the ones who persevere. But the ones who think that they're gonna go into a relationship and somebody's gonna keep complimenting them while they don't compliment the other person, it will never last. And the reason why it won't last because you gotta come into reality. Your standards are way too damn high. Your standards are way too high. I'm gonna ask this question. If you said that you want all of these things, she or he, We're going she or he has to be this. And that has never approached you in all your years of living. That means what you may want may not want you. Think about this. If you are a very athletic man and a lot of women are coming on to you that are very athletic, then chances are that standard that you have is attracted to you. But if you keep saying all the things that you want and it's not coming on to you, it's not that I'm saying settle, Lisa. What I'm saying is what you may want may not want you. You want an alpha man, but you're a very masculine woman. Ain't no alpha man want no masculine woman. No alpha man wants no masculine woman. None. Right? Name a masculine man that want a masculine woman. So sometimes when you see certain women, they say they want certain guys. I'm like, that kind of guy, I know a lot of very masculine men. And all the masculine men I know, they're not attracted to masculine women. I'm just calling it what it is. But again, if you keep thinking that this thing that you want is going to be attracted to you, maybe one day you should ask yourself, why aren't the person, or why the people that I want so bad, why are they not coming on to me? Someone just said a minute ago, so lower your standards. I don't think you should lower your standards. I think you should work on yourself so that person that's attracted to what they want will see what you are and ultimately want. Sometimes the people do not want what you are. It's just what it is. But again, if you say this, the people that will rebel are the ones who's been single for so long. And I'm like, sister, you're going to blame men for all the poor men you choose. And then you're going to put us all in a box and say men aren't good. You're going to choose the worst of the litter and then be mad at the fact that you're getting the worst results of the litter. Rather than working on self and learning how to build yourself up to ultimately be more valuable to the men that you are attracted to. Makes sense. When I want a better job, do I A, sit here keep complaining about the job's not hiring me? Or do I B, go get a skill so the job will hire me? You gotta scratch your head on that one. Listen to that again. Do I A, sit around in my house and complain about the job not hiring me, or do I B, go get off my behind and go work on myself so I can be hireable to the job that I want? But again, you want the job without meeting the requirements and the standards. Till next time, guys, don't let that go over your head.